Tonight on Best Bits, Lance Gibson Jr. dismantled Chase Hooper. Larian Douglas dismantled Julian Erosa. And Alexa Grasso not only gives us the greatest finish in women's MMA, but possibly one of the greatest finishes of all time. And Joe Pyfer crushes Israel Adesanya. Welcome back to Best Bits. What a card, am I right? UFC Fight Night Seattle. Joe Pyfer versus Israel Adesanya. I mean, this card really had no business being as good as it was. Maximum entertainment value. Sure, couple of moments, we'll get into them, that are a bit like, whoa, hang on a minute. But you know what? We'll look past them because it was an entertaining card. But we'll touch on those controversial moments. So the first fight of the night was Alexia Dayanara versus Bruna Brazil. I said Bruna Brazil is awful, and I said that Dayanara would win this fight via decision, which is what took place. I mean, you didn't have to be Nostradamus, to predict this one. Didn't have to be, Bruna Brazil, not that good. Her biggest claim to fame is literally a win over the meatball, right? Literally. Her biggest claim to fame is beating Molly McCann, who is like half her size and has T-Rex arms. Sorry, Molly, don't beat me up in Tesco's. Yeah, so fairly easy pick. We won't dwell on it. Bruna Brazil, absolutely awful. Dayanara probably should have finished there, to be honest with you. But we'll just move straight on. We'll move straight on to when it starts getting a bit strange. Because the start of the card was like, oh no, what is this going to be? What is this night going to be? So we have a pretty boring fight with Brazil and Dayanara. And then we have Ricky Simone versus Adrian Yanez. And I missed the first round as I was acquiring a beverage and got distracted having a conversation in the kitchen. But we'll just pretend I saw the first round. Came back to see the end of it. I'm told Ricky Simone probably did his best work in round one. Then round two is very close, and round three is Adrian Yanez, where Adrian Yanez absolutely put a beating on Ricky Simone, and people were saying it was a 10-8 round. This is like immediately into controversy, and it's the second fight of the night. So there was a little bit of strangeness going on. So Ricky Simone hadn't really made a stamp on the rounds that I had seen. So round two, maybe he edged it out. There's an argument for it. I wouldn't have said so. I think at the time I was like, yeah, but watching it back like last night after it happened, being like, did he? It's a close one. Do I think Adrian Yanez gets the 10-8 in the last round? Maybe not. Maybe not, to be honest with you. So in my opinion, watching it, coming straight from the fight, I thought Ricky Simone had won 1 and 2. I hadn't seen a majority of round one, so I was willing to suspend that theory. But yeah, I was thinking Ricky Simone's won 1 and 2, and Adrian Yanez has had to go and get the finish in 3. And Simone's just about managed to survive and not be finished, therefore he wins a decision. Then I thought, that was a pretty bad beating, yet he survived. Was that a 10-8 round? It wasn't like a domination of a round. Like, he beat him up in that round and he hurt him bad, but was it a 10-8 round? This isn't boxing, That's not how we score. Like, to get a 10-8, you have to dominate the round. Like, your opponent has to do nothing. And it was only in the last minute of the round that Adrian Yanez really went for it and tried to finish Ricky Simone, and he was so close. It probably should have been stopped, to be honest with you. If I was the ref, I'd have jumped in there. That would have been a TKO for Adrian Yanez coming from behind. Really good victory. But he just didn't get in there in time, and so Ricky Simone survives to the bell, and we go to a decision. It's a majority draw. So, bit of controversy. Some people weren't happy with that. I had thought Ricky Simone had just about won it based on round 1 and 2. But yeah, and then I considered the 10-8 and thought, no, surely you can't get a 10-8 for round 3. That was just like a finishing, an almost finishing sequence, It was basically, the fight ended during your finishing sequence. So, like, it isn't a dominant round to get a 10-8 on the scorecards, right? Who could say? Who could say? I'm not a referee. I'm not a judge. Moving on, that was controversial. That was controversial. I've seen people saying Adrian Yanez won 2 and 3. And so he should have had the decision as well. So, yeah. So I suppose the controversy comes from, you know, who won round 2, and then does Yanez get a 10-8 in round 3? That's the controversy. That's the discussion. Is this a draw, you know? It was the second fight of the night, okay? We were like, what's going on? What's going on in Seattle, guys? What's going on in Seattle? But then, the tides turn, okay? We get Navajo Sterling versus Bruno Lopez. Navajo Sterling puts a beating on Bruno Lopez. Just makes him look like an amateur. One step ahead the entire time. Barely gets touched throughout the fight. And just puts a beating on him. Puts a beating on him. Elbows, punches and elbows. Just whoops him, man. Whoops him. Gets him down to the ground. Finishes him on the ground. And gets that TKO. We had picked Navajo Sterling to win this one. We picked Navajo Sterling to win by a TKO, actually. We said there's TKO potential here. But Bruno Lopez could be sweaty and survive to a decision and just survive it. But no, Navajo Sterling, and you know, it could have gone that way. Round 1 was a bit like, oh. But you know, Navajo Sterling was still downloading. Even though he wasn't in danger and he wasn't getting touched much, he was still downloading, I guess. That's one way to put it. But yeah, Navajo Sterling gets it done by TKO, as we predicted. On to the next one. Casey O'Neill versus Gabriela Fernandez. Now listen, I said for Scotland, this will be done. Casey O'Neill will get this done. I said I'm biased, you know, pinch of salt, everybody. But believe me, for Scotland, Casey O'Neill will get this done. And Casey O'Neill goes out there and puts a beating on Gabriela Fernandez, wasting absolutely no time. Just storms across the cage and starts laying hands on her. Fernandez was like, whoa, calm the fuck down, this is just a sport. Whoa, they call this an MMA match. Where I'm from, this is called a match, not a fight. Calm down. But no, Casey O'Neill put an absolute whooping on her. Just hands, man. It was almost, if not for the co-main event, that was going in best bits. There was going to be the women did a thing, but and the women did do a thing. So you know, there's your the women did a thing for you right there. Because Casey O'Neill definitely did a thing. It was really good. It was like, it was so close to being in best bits. So if I do honourable mentions ever, if I ever start doing honourable mentions, that would have been in there. That's like an example of an honourable mention. It just got pipped to the post by some of the fights later on. This card is just full of brilliant finishes, like really good finishes. Some drawn out finishes that probably shouldn't have gone on, like beatings that shouldn't have gone on as long as they did. But you know, Seattle referees, I guess. I don't know. But the next fight was Terrell Fortune versus Marcin Tybura, and we had a bit more controversy in this one. So I picked Marcin Tybura to blob Terrell Fortune. I did. I picked him to blob him, and halfway through the second round, throughout most of the third round, Marcin Tybura was trying to implement the blob strategy of just being heavy and slow and blobby and just holding on and dragging you down. Marcin Tybura's lost too much weight to be a blob anymore, I've decided. And that's the problem. You know, both guys got tired, but Marcin Tybura just couldn't blob effectively on Terrell Fortune. And to be fair, Terrell Fortune was doing well by mixing and grappling, and that was really preventing the blobbing by Marcin Tybura. But yeah, I think Marcin Tybura's lost too much. He's too slender now. He's slimmed out too much. He's not got the correct shape for a blob attack. Not anymore anyway. He used to be one of the king blobs. But you know, we've got Shamil Gassiev now, and he's a pretty good blob as well, so yeah. So Marcin Tybura, not as blobby as he used to be. Couldn't really effectively blob Terrell Fortune. Terrell Fortune mixing in the takedowns and making it his kind of fight. And you know what? I think really it was both guys struggled to put an exclamation point on the round, kind of to like edge out the round. But I could see it going Terrell Fortune's way. But the thing is that as the fight came to an end, I'm thinking, this is like Marcin Tybura robbery. Like, this is Marcin Tybura gets this one even though he probably shouldn't have type area. This is one of them fights where no, Terrell Fortune hasn't put enough of a stamp on each round, and you could argue in each round, you know, you'd have a hard, you could, you know, you'd have to argue it, but you could argue that Marcin Tybura has won at least 2 of the 3 rounds, right? So it's like, oh no, they're gonna rob this guy, and they do. They rob him. They robbed Terrell Fortune. They gave the fight to Marcin Tybura. Tybura's like, hey, I won the fight. Terrell Fortune's like walking off like, fuck man, what the fuck? I won that fight. And then suddenly there's like a Spanish priest. I think it was a Spanish person. It's just like faintly on the broadcast. Maybe he even wasn't a Spanish person. Maybe I'm just misremembering it. But I remember someone saying a mistake. There's a mistake in a Española accent, and then the commentary being like, "There's been a mistake," and then Terrell Fortune coming back and being like, "Huh? I won, woo!" And it was so yeah, it was a weird one, very weird one. But if you were gambling on it, that might have like messed you up bad because for me, it gave me the Marcin Tybura had won the fight because they already called it as a win for Marcin Tybura. Weird one. And it didn't change back. So yeah, not that it mattered much because I had Chase Hooper next. Speaking of which, on to the next one. Lance Gibson Jr. versus Chase Hooper. I had Chase Hooper for this one. I really did. I just thought, you know, Lance Gibson Jr., Canada ain't all that. Canada ain't all that, you know. Apparently he's from Seattle as well, though, so there you go. But I thought, you know, Canada ain't all that. Canada ain't, you know, it's Canadian, another Canadian dudes. They're awful. They're all awful. They can't fight. Yeah, he'll get beaten up by Chase Hooper. Nah, man, nah. Lance Gibson Jr. put a beating on Chase Hooper. Just knees and kicks, man. It was the knees and the kicks. It really was the knees and the kicks. The punches not so much. Like, just mixing it up as well. Just mixing it up and just every opportunity. Like, sometimes you see guys clinch up and they could be throwing knees and they just don't. Like, as a guy's exiting, as they're trying to scramble inside this like this standing exchange, as they're trying to get grips or overhooks or underhooks or whatever. Like, a lot of guys just don't throw knees in that situation. Lance Gibson Jr. throws knees in that situation, and it worked. It worked. He hit Chase Hooper hard. He hit him with an elbow, I think it was, to start with, and he just step in elbow on the counter, send Chase Hooper tumbling backwards. Chase Hooper gets his feet under him, but he's not recovered, and he ends up retreating to the fence. Lance Gibson keeps hitting him, gets him with I think it was a body kick as he's going back towards the fence, and that kind of turns Chase off the fence. And then Lance Gibson manages to clinch up, and as he's got the tie plum clinch on Chase Hooper, he just delivers, I think it was 2 knees, 2 vicious knees, one after another. It was in the highlights, I'm fairly sure. But yeah, 2 vicious knees to Chase Hooper. Puts him down pretty good. He jumps on there to finish it, but the referee's happy with those 2 knees and stops the fight there. But yeah, very good win for Lance Gibson Jr. Very good. Made a fan out of me. I mean, genuinely made a fan out of me. With the performance like that, it was very entertaining. So got to give it to him. Got to give him his flowers. Unlucky Chase Hooper. I never pick Chase Hooper. I've got like the Chase Hooper curse, man. I've genuinely got the Chase Hooper curse. I swear, because I pick against Chase Hooper quite a little bit. So I picked Alexander Hernandez to beat him, obviously, and I picked Vladislav Borshev to beat him as well. So I do occasionally pick against them. It's just this time I thought, you know, Lance Gibson Jr., who's this guy? You know, Canadian guy. You know, what's he even done? You know, he lost to Bobby Green in the UFC. What's he even done? That was my thought going into it. I didn't know. I'm so sorry, everyone. I didn't know that he was an absolute unit. My sincerest apologies. I didn't know he was the king of the streets. Anyway, just put an absolute beating on Chase Hooper. Chase Hooper got molly-whopped, to steal a phrase. On to the next one. Tofik Musayev versus Ignacio Bahamondes. Another disappointment. We had Ignacio Bahamondes for this fight, and you know what? I felt like he was winning the fight until he was repeatedly fouled. Just gonna say it. There was headbutts. There was some mild biting. You know, there was headbutts, mild biting, eye raking, grabbing of the fence, like everything. And it was all Musayev doing that shit. Musayev just cheating throughout the fight, and the ref not giving a single fuck. And Bahamundes got chewed up and spit out. Unfortunately, it went to a decision, but Bahamundes has never looked worse. Like physically, like he got messed up bad, and it's a shame to see. It's a shame to see because not only did Tafik Musayev cheat throughout the fight, consistently throughout the fight, repeatedly turning the tide via cheating, either by grabbing the fence, accidentally raking an eye, grabbing the fence, accidentally getting a pinky in the eye, throwing a headbutt at the end of a round, maybe right in front of the ref. All those things building up. Yeah, I mean, you know what? If you're back on Mondays, you just start cracking them back. You just start fouling them back. This is what fighters just need to do. And if the referees aren't going to do anything anyway, then just fucking foul them back. Just start fouling them back. We need to just start doing it back. Fuck honour. You're not going to win with honour if the referee ain't going to fucking help you out. If the referee's just going to let you get your eyes raked, going to let the opponent grab the fence and ruin your takedowns, he's going to let the opponent blatantly fucking headbutt you and gash your fucking fod open and not do anything about it. Yeah, fuck it. I'd be going for his eyes. I'd be fucking kneeing him in the groin over and over again. I'd get him in the clinch and I'd just be throwing the groin shots. And when he reacts to try and be like, ref, I've just been fucking groin striked, I go fuck off and fingers in the eyes. But like, no, you didn't see shit. You didn't see nothing. But yeah, fighters have just got to start fouling back. If you're getting fouled and the ref isn't helping you, you've just got to do it back to the other guy and do it worse. And get disqualified if it comes down to it, and just be like, yeah, well, the referee needs to do its fucking job then. If I'm forced to do that because the referee can't do his job and I'm defending myself, protect yourself at all times. If someone's going to cheat, the only way you can defend yourself is to cheat back. If the referee's not going to help, simple as that. Simple as that. On to the next one. I was a bit salty about that one. Can you tell I was a bit salty about that one? On to the next one. Terence McKinney versus Kyle Nelson. We had Terence McKinney for this one. This was a layup for Terence McKinney. And that's the thing about Terence McKinney, is that he either finishes you or he gets finished. And we said this going in, but there was no worries. There was no worries in this fight. 24 seconds left on the clock, is that? Or is that 24 seconds into the round? That's 24 seconds into the round. That's all he needed. 24 seconds to absolutely bonk Kyle Nelson. Yeah, it was unfortunate. It was super quick too. It was super, super quick. Rough for Kyle Nelson. Imagine training for however many months to get ready for this fight, and then it's over in less than 30 seconds, and you just got absolutely bonked. But that's how it be. It was a layup for Terence McKinney. It was a layup. I mean, it was his fight to lose. Realistically, if he didn't finish Kyle Nelson in the first round, there would have been a lot of questions for where Terence McKinney belongs within the UFC, Should he be getting the hype he's getting? Should they be calling him a prospect and whatnot? But yeah, Terence McKinney gets it done over Kyle Nelson. Not on to write home about. I mean, good performance. A knockout in 25 seconds, 24 seconds. Brilliant performance from Terence McKinney. It's just shame it was a layup. Shame it was expected of you, hopefully next time the fight's a challenge. Hopefully you overcome with it. Hopefully you knock a guy out in 30 seconds who should have given you a 3-round fight. That's the kind of thing you were supposed to knock this guy out in round 1. Oh wow, you did what you were supposed to do. Congratulations, you got a layup. But yeah, still entertaining. Poor Kyle Nelson, but that's just the way it goes. And Terence McKinney gets the TKO as we predicted. On to the next one. Yusuri Belgrui, I don't know, versus Mansour Abdul Malik. We picked Mansour Abdul Malik for this one. Very, very. You know what? I underestimated the size difference. I didn't think that Belgrui would absolutely mog Abdul Mansour Malik. It was looking at the two of them. It was hard to believe they were in the same weight class. And I distinctly remember saying in my prediction, "Oh no, surely the height discrepancy isn't that large. Surely those numbers are off, right? Surely that's one of the things where guys wearing lifts or something when he gets measured, you know." No, he was actually that big. He actually dwarfed man. Maybe Mansour Abdul Malik was wearing lifts and he's actually shorter than he claims to be. But yeah, absolutely mogged. Just, and then whooped him too. Whooped him. Just I don't think Malik landed a strike in the first round just because he couldn't get close to Belgravia. He just couldn't do it. He couldn't close the distance effectively without getting caught and just intercepted every single time. And then he started mixing it up with the takedowns, and that was finding him. I think most of his strikes came either in the clinch or on the exit of the clinch. And at the same time, he was eating shots to land those. It was a rough fight for Mansour Abdul Malik, undefeated until now as well, and just gets put in there against a giant who he just can't get round the defenses of. He just couldn't get in there. And then in the third round, well, in the end of the second round, he's in the corner getting ready to come out for the third, and his corner says to him like, "Listen, this is it. We either win or we go out. We have a warrior's death. We have a warrior's." That was literally the words his corner said. He said, "We either go out there and we knock him out, or we die a warrior's death, or we die a brave man's death." And so Mansour Abdul Malik went out there and he died a brave man's death, to be fair to him. He did go out there and he didn't stop trying. He kept trying to find a way in. Even when he was getting whooped, man, he was genuinely really trying to find a way in. The commentary were not doing him justice whatsoever. The commentary were like, "It's just been survival for Mansour Abdul Malik." I was like, "Nah, man, it's not been survival. He can't. He has been trying to find a way to implement some sort of game plan. He's been trying to problem solve Belgravi's size from the start of this fight, and he just can't find a solution. It's not he's surviving. He's trying to figure it out, and he's just getting punished while he does." And that was it. I think Mansour Abdul Malik is actually, skill-wise, a lot better in more places than Belgravi, but I think that is just completely nullified by the size. As we know this anyway, that's why there are weight classes. But yeah, it just looked like Mansour was fighting a guy a weight class above the whole time. It was bad. It was bad for Mansour. Quite entertaining though, to be honest with you. We did enjoy the fight, and yeah, and so Belgravi clinches up Mansour Abdul Malik and finishes him off with a knee in the clinch. Yeah, it was rough to watch. It was rough to watch. I've been a fan of Mansour Abdul Malik for a little while, off and on. Quite entertaining to watch. On most of the time, quite entertaining to watch, and just couldn't find an answer to the puzzle of Belgravi. The size of Belgravi, just couldn't find an answer, and unfortunately, he followed his corner's advice and he died a brave man's death. On to the next one. Larian Douglas versus Julian Erosa. Wow. Yeah. Douglas, man, power in them hands, like another Ilia Taporia. Just was hitting Julian Erosa with a jab, and it was sending Julian Erosa into orbit. Like he would stiff jab, nice steady jab, and Julian Erosa would go wah and tumble backwards against the fence. And then there was another jab, and Julian Erosa wah wobbled against the fence again from the jabs. And then he got in there and he hit him with a big overhand right, and it was like ragdoll physics in a video game. Genuinely like ragdoll physics in a video game. Like Julian Erosa's, because he kind of hit him coming down with the overhand, because the overhand was coming like down onto the chin. It was like the gravity, like someone fucked with the gravity mechanics or the physics engine went a bit skew-if, because all of a sudden Julian Erosa's legs just went and slid off to one side, as his head just slammed into the ground. Yeah, it was crazy. It was actually crazy. But yeah, I made a fan of me. I'm gonna be keeping a close eye on Douglas from now on, because that was crazy. That was like Gene Silver like power levels, like crazy, just stocky little meatball power levels on these new dudes coming up. Good to see a new face again, just coming onto the scene. New face making a statement. It's good. We like to see it. We need some movement in these divisions. Sorry to say it, I'm sick of seeing Julian Erosa. I'm sorry to say it, I just am. On to the next one. We have Michael Chiesa versus Nico Price. Bit of a weird one. So both guys were retiring, and they made a really big deal over Michael Chiesa retiring. And it kind of just felt a bit mean for Nico Price. Like Nico Price Sure, not been around as long as Michael Chiesa, not done as much for Michael Chiesa as Michael Chiesa, but you know, both guys were retiring, and let's be honest, what did Michael Chiesa actually ever do other than win the Ultimate Fighter to get such a send off? Like, sure, he's a little bit better than Nico Price, but not so much better to warrant a fucking parade on his way out. You know? Really good performance, though. Really, really, really good performance. Instantly just gets on Nico's neck, chokes him out. I mean, apologies. Just gets on his neck, chokes him out like immediately. But it was Nico Price, and so what were we expecting? You know, for a moment it was like, yo, Nico Price just took down Michael Chiesa. What? But it didn't work out. It didn't work out for him, and the fight was over before it even really began. Michael Chiesa wins, and they start the parade for him. And I was just thinking, man, what about Nico Price? Like, he's also retiring. Like, you're gonna give all this fanfare to Chiesa and not Nico Price? But I suppose Nico decided later. I don't know. I just feel like, I don't know. It's a weird one. It was a weird scenario. I just kind of felt bad for Nico Price, but both guys retire. Fair enough. That's just how it be, I suppose. Um, I suppose Michael Chiesa never, never brought any legal action against the UFC or Conor McGregor for the Dolly incident, and so that's why he got this big fanfare on the way out. Honestly, who the fuck cares? Like, it's Michael Chiesa. Who cares? It was just made even more ridiculous by the fact that Nico Price didn't also get a parade. Because let's be honest, sure, Nico Price has gone out on a 4-fight losing streak and Chiesa's gone out on a 4-fight winning streak, but both guys are pretty poo, and Chiesa's just been fed some fucking easy fights. So he could go out on a W, right? So he could go out on a streak. Whereas Nico Price hasn't been given that favoritism, and he's gone out on a losing streak. Like, it just highlighted the differences between how the UFC will treat fighters. There's the disparity between them, Who has Dana White privilege? Who doesn't have Dana White privilege? Chiesa? Lots of Dana White privilege. Nico Price? Who the fuck is that guy? Me and Nico Price were never friends. Nico Price was never my friend. But yeah, brilliant ends to the career for Michael Chiesa on paper. Gets a finish in the first round, under 2 minutes, under a minute and 30 seconds, literally nearly under a minute. So close to doing it in under a minute. But now it's co-main event time. This fight also ridiculously fast. You blink and you would miss it. So I went with Macy Barber. by TKO. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the prediction now, but yeah, I went with Macy Barber by TKO. I thought Alexa Grasso was probably going to be able to submit Macy Barber if it came down to it. I didn't think that Alexa Grasso would be able to put hands like that on Macy Barber. It was crazy. It was actually crazy. Just bonked her with the 1-2. Circle to the left, I guess. Circle to her left. Throws like another uppercut as Macy Barber's going down, and then uses that uppercut to get like under the neck and lock up the submission. And she does all of that. So Macy Barber's basically knocked out from the 1-2. She gets hit by another shot on the way down, and the referee still isn't halfway to stopping this fight. The referee has seen the fight is over, but he still isn't halfway to the girls to stop them from fighting before Alexa Grasso is on the back and around the neck of Macy Barber, strangling her. But of course, Macy Barber is already unconscious, so the referee has to come in and stop the fight. They ruled it a KO TKO. Now, Macy Barber was knocked out by the 1-2, but she was doing one of those crazy, like, I'm knocked out, but I'm still moving incoherently kind of knockouts. It was one of those kind of things where they get dropped bad and their body just kind of hasn't realised they've been knocked out yet, and they just kind of fight on autopilot. She was in that kind of state, and so she got strangled, and because the ref went there to stop it, so she got strangled. Kind of goes limp for a second, and then when the choke is broken, she kind of wakes up from being choked, but she still hasn't woke up from being knocked out. And so she's still in this weird delirious, like, I'm still fighting even though I'm knocked out phase. And so she grabs onto the leg of the ref and starts trying to get a single leg on him before just kind of falling over onto her back and staring into space. And she was just on her back, staring into space for a long... His soul was taken by Alexa Grasso. There was a moment where I thought, yo, is this girl, like, dead? Is she dead? Alexa Grasso just killed Macy Barber in front of all of us. It was one of the best finishes in UFC history. Genuinely, women's MMA have just achieved one of the greatest finishes in MMA history. That was one of the best finishes, 100%. Like, I cannot be talked out of it. That was actually not the best finish in women's MMA. No, that was one of the best finishes. That's top 10. That might even be top 5. That's got potential, man. That's such a good finish. That was like, you know, it was brilliant. It was actually brilliant. The women did a thing. So, that's why Casey O'Neill didn't end up in the montage. That's why Casey O'Neill didn't get the women did a thing. And then we see Casey O'Neill chin Gabriela Fernandez. The reason we don't see that is because Alexa Grasso chinned Macy Barber and then strangled her and submitted her in the same fight within the same 10 seconds. Within the same 10-second time frame, she knocked her out and strangled her unconscious. And we've seen the effects of both. It was so bizarre. We've seen an unconscious Macy Barber, a knocked unconscious Macy Barber, get strangled unconscious, wake up from being strangled, but not from being knocked out, and keep ghost fighting, keep autopilot fighting. It was bizarre. It was bizarre. And then she was out, man. She was out and just staring into space. Just pupils dilated. Just zoned the fuck out, staring, million yard stare as her soul hovered above her body like, yo, what happened? Oh, what happened? We lost? What? But yeah, Alexa Grasso sends Macy Barber to the Shadow Realm, man. That was crazy. It was actually brilliant performance. And we're at the main event. It's main event time. What a shame for Izzy, man. Moment of silence for Israel Adesanya's career. Just a moment of silence for Izzy's career. Oh my goodness gracious. What a shame. What a shame. Now, I've always said this, that Izzy just kind of came up in a division that didn't have a very diverse talent pool, and so he was able to just kind of run away with it a lot of the time. And that's why he was champion. That's why he was such a dominant champion, because his division wasn't really well built, and it seems like the fan base and stuff just kind of disregarded that for the longest time. And don't get me wrong, Izzy was good. Izzy is good. He's got a win over Alex Pereira. Okay? Like, Izzy is good. He was good. It's just his style, the style bender style, really only worked for that one era. For that one era of middleweights. My apologies. They don't really work for one era of middleweights. And no one really had the grappling to counter it. And now people do. Now people have the grappling to counter it. He doesn't move like he used to move. He's not fluid like he used to be as well. He seems so much more stiff and nervous a lot of the time. Like, when he comes out to a fight now, he just looks like he knows he's lost already. And it's tragic. You know, he goes from being a dominant champion to getting dethroned by Strickland. Getting dethroned by Strickland in a dominant decision. Dominant decision for Strickland. Then he gets submitted by DDP very easily. Just dominated by Dricus du Plessis and strangled very easily. Then he gets chinned by Imavov, right? Gets chinned by Nassourdine Imavov badly and gets finished. Maybe a little bit of controversy. You know, he jumped up like, huh? But no, he got chinned. Okay? He got chinned. It wasn't even... Like, who did I say chinned him? Nassourdine Imavov. I think I said Nassourdine Imavov, right? Anyway, Nassourdine Imavov chins him, and now Joe Pyfer also chins him, jumps on his back and beats him. And man, there's no redemption to being flat out on your belly with your opponent sat on your back with your fully flattened out, just lightly tapping you on the sides of the head because they're taking pity on you because you are completely defenseless as you cover up like this and your legs are behind, just flailing legs. Like what? What is? You were a world champion, Izzy, man. You just you can't grapple. You've never learned to grapple. So he needs to go to a different gym or he needs to retire. Simple as that. He needs to leave City Kickboxing. He needs to jump on a plane and go somewhere where they're gonna beat the fuck out of him. Because he's clearly he is clearly the it guy. He's clearly the king of the gym. You know, he's clearly the one. You know, he's the star of the gym. We'll say, right? He's the star of the gym, and it's not helping him. And if he's not looking to leave now, not looking to retire, then we should get some easier fights then. But no, it's a harsh fall from grace from Izzy, really harsh fall from grace. And you know, Joe Pyfer gets it done. I didn't doubt it for a second. I know quite a few people picked Izzy to beat Joe Pyfer. You know, oh, the guys that Izzy's fought have been, you know, haven't been one-dimensional. Joe Pyfer's one-dimensional. He doesn't move like them. He's going to get his leg punished. He did get his leg punished. He's going to get his leg punished. He's not going to move like the rest of them. He's going to be basically a stationary target for Izzy. People were right. He did get his leg punished. He was a stationary target for Izzy. Izzy just didn't have the power. Like, there was moments in the first round where they were trading and Joe Pyfer would land one shot and Izzy would land like three. And it didn't look like those three shots did anything near to that one shot from Joe Pyfer did to Izzy. There was just a clear power difference. And Joe Pyfer was just throwing with wreck. Joe Pyfer knew that immediately. As soon as he felt Izzy's power, he was like, you're not knocking me out. You just got pillows for hands. You are not knocking me out. It's not happening. And so from that moment on, he was just like, yeah, hit me with whatever you want. You can't finish me. It's not going to happen. And then there was a moment where Izzy threw a terribly timed question mark kick. And Pyfer just crashed into him. And everyone on the commentary, all the commentary, like, whoa, that was a scary question mark kick. It's like, no, it wasn't. He just ran through it. He just ran through the question mark kick and didn't care. The only reason that, like, the charge was stifled was because they just kind of collided with the knee that wasn't being used as a strike. You know? And then Izzy still eats like 2 punches anyway. So it wasn't really anything at all in Izzy's favour aside from maybe slowly delaying the inevitable, slightly delaying the inevitable of getting chinned by Pyfer. But yeah, it's like Pyfer knew Izzy didn't have the power. As soon as he tasted the punch from Izzy, he was like, you're not knocking me out. You're not that guy. You're not that guy. I'm just going to walk you down and hit you. And it was like, when Pyfer hit Izzy, Izzy was like, oh, fucking hell, you are that guy. I need to finish this quick. And he just didn't have it. He just didn't have the power. Didn't have the power to do it. I guess doesn't have the accuracy to do it anymore. Because he does have finishes. He's knocked dudes out. Like I say, he knocked out Pereira. He did knock out Pereira. But Pereira was depleted from a weight cut. Izzy didn't look his best after the weight cut either. He didn't look good. Maybe he moves up. But there are killers up there, man. And Izzy ain't that big. He's not. He's not that big. So it's a tough one. It is a tough one. It's a big fall from grace. I must confess, I had to head over to Kenny Okoye's channel. He was live. It wasn't Izzy. It was Izzy was fighting, so of course he was live. I only stayed around for about a minute, and it was just him in silence, and then going, "Oh wait, I'm so confused. What? What? I'm so confused." I felt bad for Kenny Okoye, man. That's his hero right there. That's his hero. But yeah, it was a really entertaining card, though. Nonetheless, a really entertaining card. I've nearly spent like 10 minutes just talking about this fight alone. But yeah, great win for Joe Pyfer. Made it look easy, man. Made it look easy dominating this former champion. Made it look easy. And it is a terrible fall from grace for Izzy. But that is unfortunately the way the cookie crumbles. And on that bombshell, we'll wrap up this episode of Best Bits. So thank you very much for watching all the way until the end. If you enjoyed it, leave me a like, subscribe for more. This is weekly. Every time there's a UFC, I do a Best Bits. I don't always do a prediction. Life gets in the way. I always do a Best Bits. Always do a Best Bits. Always. Okay? But until next time, keep your chin down and keep swinging. Peace and love. I'll see you around.